Welcome back to Sheet Metal is Fun. We're glad you stopped by. Today, our project is a dustpan. We're going to start out with a flat piece of metal and we're going to turn it into this dustpan. Come on inside, let's get started. Welcome back to Sheet Metal is Fun. Tonight's project is going to be the dustpan. We're going to make a dustpan that is 11 inches by 9 inches by 3 inches deep. We're going to bend the handle up and we're going to rivet the handle to the dustpan. 26 gauge galvanized. But before we get started on tonight's project, we have a fabulous fabricator, Cody S. from Portageville, Missouri. And Cody made an organizer bin. There you go, Cody. There's mine, there's yours. I love them both. And he also made a parts tray, which is similar to the pan that we made. That was our first lesson, wasn't it? In our very first lesson, we showed folks how to make a pan. So, Cody S. from Portageville, Missouri, you're going in the book of Fabulous Fabricators. We sure appreciate you watching and making stuff, sending us a picture of the stuff, and then going in our book of Fabulous Fabricators. We're glad to have you in the book, Cody. You're in. All right. Now, we've got tonight's project is so practical. I think almost every house everywhere either has or needs a dustpan. So I'm going to show you how to make this one. I made this one before you guys got here. I just made it. Ow, it's still hot. No, it's not hot. I made this one about 5 minutes ago. And so I made it out of galvanized. I like the way the galvanized looks, but whenever we're laying it out on our pattern, it's a little harder to see a scribe line, a silver scribe line on the shiny silver material. So we're going to use bonderized material. What I like about bonderized, it's still 26 gauge it's still 26 gauge, and 26 gauge is about the thickness of a standard playing card. If you would like to have a reference, this is about a standard playing card. And so this is bonderized, which is a trade name, but electro galvanized. So it could be a jet coat, it could be bonderized, it could be several names, but this is ready for paint. But we're using it not because we're going to paint it, we're using it because our layout lines show up better, and it's going to be easier for you guys to follow what we're making. So you can see our dustpan is right here. Here's the base, here are the sides, here's the back. We have a 1/2 inch hem and a 1/2 inch 90. That's what we have in the back of our dustpan. All right, so now we've seen what it looks like. And this is the piece of flat stock. Now, I'm making a dustpan that is 11 inches wide, 9 inches this way, and 3 inches deep. So if you wanted to make a dustpan just like this, which I like it when you guys make them different, you can make it bigger, smaller, shorter, longer, whatever fits your needs. If you want to make one just like this, you're going to start with a piece that's 18 inches by 13.5 inches. And that's going to give you an 11 by 9 dustpan. So we've cut our piece 18 by 13.5. I've laid out the pattern. And let's go ahead and cut it out. And I'm putting on my reading glasses. And let's cut this out. Whenever you cut with your snips, you never go to the end. So as I'm releasing, as I'm squeezing, I'm cutting. And before I get to the end, I stop And as I'm opening the snips in preparation for the next cut, I'm pushing forward. And that's what keeps you in the line. That's what keeps you cutting straight. If we went to the end, that even bothers me to do that. I hope you can see what it looks like if you do it the wrong way. Don't do that. I'll come to your house and eat all your chocolate. Plus, my wife says I snore. All right. We got one side cut out. Let's cut the other one. I like these offset snips, but it's personal preference. Any snip will do. Before I throw these in the trash, I usually try to fold that pointy end around. Now we're going to cut this corner out. Now you see I stopped a little short of the line. This line is going to go all the way. All the way. Now, since I stopped short, this part is still attached. So when I cut that little piece off, it stayed attached to there. So here we go again. This side, you go all the way into the corner. This side, this is our 1/2-inch tab. This is what we're going to put our rivets in. I'm going to stop short. I'm going to fold that up out of the way. And then that piece stays attached. Not only is it not trying to get us, we don't have to look for it on the floor. Now we're going to notch these corners out for the hem. Anytime you're notching, always cover the part that's going to fall, cover that with the end of your snips. That was the right way. Let's do it wrong. Let's do it wrong, just in case there's some visual learners out there that want to see what wrong is like. Okay, so now this time, the drop, I can see it in its entirety. See all the drop? So whenever I make this cut, if I can see it, it can come toward my face. So what I'm going to do is just put my thumb over it. If I don't put my thumb over it, sometimes it can launch. That's not good. We're going to cut these out. All right, let's get that off. So what we have here is our dustpan would fit right here. This is the side that we're going to fold up. This is the back we're going to fold up. The other side, these are the hems. And while I'm laying out a pattern, that's when you want to put all your markings on there. So if you get this laid out and then you get a phone call, or it's coffee break, or it's Friday afternoon and you come back on Monday, then we don't have to reacquaint ourselves with the project. While it was most clearly in our mind while we were laying it out and making it, we went ahead and marked it. So I could come back a month from now. I don't even have to reacquaint myself with the project. I can just go right back to it and bend it up. So that's a hem down. Anytime we're going to do our bends, we always make the initial bends are the bends that affect the project in the least amount, and that would be a hem. You ready to go over the break and bend it up? All right, all right. Put my glasses back on for the bending. So the sequence of bending, you always perform the function that affects your project in the least amount of a way. So I have a hem down here. Let's go ahead and do that. So what I've done, I'm hoping you can see this. On these lines, there's a prick mark right there. That's what I'm looking at when I go to my other side. Right there on the line, I put a prick mark on it. And that way when I flip it over, you can see these lines. I'm going to circle a couple of them just so you can see them. Those are the lines that I made from this side, but because that's a down, I'm going to be reading it from this side. So I will be looking at the prick marks and not the scribe lines. All right. So I'm going to line those prick marks up, clamping it down. That's the initial bend. The front of the brake here is 135 degrees. So I bent that over to 135. Now, 180. Let's do the same thing again. Lining up the prick marks. Using the prick marks because we did our drawing on the other side, transferred those lines through with a prick mark. There's 135. If this is flat like a table, that would be a 90-degree bend. That's a 90 and an additional 45. That's how we get the 135. Now, a hem, 180. Look at that. So I've hemmed over these two edges. Now let's go to the front. There's our prick mark.
And what about the people that don't have this fancy braking home?
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yes, so if you don't have a big snazzy brake like me, because I am a highly skilled, highly paid professional, and if you are not a highly skilled, highly paid professional of sheet metal talent, then you can go to, there's a couple of our videos. One is how to make a tool tray. And then a couple videos ago, we did one where we actually showed you how to make some fabrication and bending tools. So go a couple of them back. What was that one called? Folding and forming, yeah. And then you'll be able to do everything that I'm doing, and you'll be able to do it without this giant machine in your living room. This machine is 10 foot long. All right, so we've got those three. Glasses back on. Back to the hem. So now we're on the back side of the dustpan. There's 135. Flattened out, 180. Now I'm going to clamp it right on that bend line. This one, we're going to go a 90. When the front of the brake, the bending leaf is flat like a table, that means we've made a 90-degree bend. So let's go ahead and make this 90-degree bend. Let's just take a quick look. I folded this hem, the one across the front, the one across the other side, and we've done the bends on the back. Now we're going to bend this one as a 90-degree up. So whenever we put this in the brake, we don't have to squeeze the handle all the way till it stops. I just want to make sure that we have a grip on the piece, because with these hems on here, if we clamp this all the way down, it flattens out a portion of this, and then we can't impress our friends and neighbors. And that's why we get up every morning, because we have friends and neighbors. All right. I'm going to show you that part so you can see what we've got so far. Okay, I'm just going to give this a little push right here and a little push, because I want this flange to come up on the back side of the back. Okay, you ready? Look at that. I'm just making sure that whenever that goes to the back side, and I'll explain that to you when we get back over to the bench. Now, to make our last bend, we have to go to the other end of the brake. We're going to do the same thing over there. That was my end of the brake. This is Stacy's end of the brake. But she's operating the camera tonight, so I'm going to do her end. We're going to bring that up right there till it stops. Might as well go ahead and close it. So what we've just done is we've just bent these sides up. All right, let's go back over to the bench and finish the Are you still rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is, we're not going to feature a lot of the work we're doing on the Volkswagen, but we're going to make a Baja out of it. So we've done a bunch of metal work, and I went through the engine, the cranking rods were good, but new bearings, cam, pistons, rings, all new all the way throughout, and it's ready to rock and roll. I bought a couple of J-bends on the internet and a flat muffler, and I was able to weld this into, because this had a stinger on it. This engine is out of a dune buggy. So we won't go too deep into this, but those of you that know what an air-cooled Volkswagen is, that's what that is. All right, so what we have here is the handle, and the handle is 2.5 by 13. I'm going to bend an inch on either side, but since we're right here, we are going to bend a hem. Then we're going to bend another hem. We're making the handle right now. So I've already finished one hem. If you can see it, it's shaped like a teardrop. That's what you want. You don't want to flatten it out all the way. You need that teardrop. That's what gives you the rigidity down the hem line. That teardrop right there. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. If you flatten this totally flat all the way, then this loses its rigidity down through the handle. All right, we're already here, and I know I'm going to bend a 1-inch flange. This was on Grab Bag of Tools, I think. That's our Christmas tree scribe. So I just made a mark at 1 inch right here. Let's bend that up an inch. And there's an inch on this side. So this is quarter, half, 3/4, and then 1 inch. There's a scribe at 1 inch. If you want to learn how to make this, it's on the grab bag of tools lesson. So we're going to bend this at 1 inch. Okay. All right, let's go back to the bench. When I nod my head, you hit it. All right, so we just folded the hem on our handle, hem on both sides, 1 inch on this end, 1 inch on that end. You can see what we have here. We have our hemmed handle. Here's the 1 inch. Here's 1 inch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bend this. Now what we have here is all kind of high tech. I'm going to make a mark at 5.5 inches. That's halfway. 5.5 is half of 11. Now this is the high tech part. So at your house you might have a piece of pipe or a broom handle, but here we have this really, really nice, this is called a box and pan brake. It's probably $6,000 or $7,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this to bend our handle. Here's our mark right here. Here we go. Man, that's why that machine's worth so much. Look what awesome work it does. All right, so you'll notice that the bend is irregular. But did you see that there was no panic look on my face? The reason there's no panic, can you see this right here? I'm going to get this around here. Look at that. So if you had a $7,000 machine like I do, you can have results just like that. Wow, that thing's worth every penny. Wait, a little bit more right here. Or you could use a broom handle. But just in case somebody comes in, we don't want them to catch us using a broom handle. Because like I said earlier, I'm a highly skilled, highly paid professional. All right. So we are ready to... So this tab comes around the backside of the dustpan. On the dustpan that I made, see, look what it says. Look. What I want to point out is the hem, the tab is on the end piece, and it comes around behind the back. So that means if you're holding here and you're pushing down here, the tab is locking this corner together. If we would have put the tab on the back side, then what you would be pushing when you pushed here, you'd be putting stress on the rivets. But that's the reason the tab is placed where it is. That's the reason it comes behind. Because this way we get the strength of the tab, and really the only thing the rivet is there is to keep the dustpan from disassembling itself. So that's critical. That's the reason the tab comes around the back instead of being on the back and bent around. All right. Let's put 2 rivets in here. We're gonna we always want to push as hard as we can reasonably push and use the fewest amount of RPMs that gets the job done. Let's put a rivet in here. I'm going to get this up as far as I can. Put one more rivet in it. I keep this old junk piece of plywood on my bench so I'm not continuously drilling holes in my workbench. Always make sure you put your body in a safe place when drilling holes. Almost every tool we have in the shop wouldn't think twice about giving you a bruise or a cut. We don't want to do that. I'm going to tap this around a little bit. Let's go back to the corner where if I'm going to drill a hole in something, it's going to be a piece of plywood that I don't mind throwing away at the end of the day if I have to. Preloaded the pop rivet gun. That's a good trick. I'm going to get this vice grip up as far and away as I can. Let's get our second rivet in here. Well, I like the way this is looking. I know we're going to need more rivets, so we're going to go ahead and load this. That way, whenever we get ready to put the handle on, the rivet's going to be ready. I'm just tapping this side around. You can see the bow in it. The reason it's bowed is because I didn't clamp it super hard in the break over there because that was going to smash all of my hems. So I'm just going to tap this around. I think I got this at the Dollar Tree 20 years ago. All right, now to the handle. Our dustpan is 11 inches wide. Half of that, 5.5. So I'm just going to make a mark at 5.5, but our handle is 1.5 inches wide. So I like to mark the center line, and then I'm going to go 3/4 on either side. I like to mark both sides, and then it just makes it more difficult to do it wrong. If I only marked one side, there's a chance that I could look at that and put it in the wrong place. That's the center line. There's a center line and 3/4. And look, if I just move this over a little bit, I can double check myself. And now I know I'm in the middle of the dustpan. So what we're doing with our handle is I brought the top of the handle inside the dustpan, because let's look at that. If I have weight in the dustpan and I'm pushing down on the handle, I want the handle over here. And just like we did with the back, if my handle comes to the inside on the top, then I'm actually pulling against this flange, against this bend right here. I'm not just pulling against the rivets. Conversely, the bottom of the handle is outside the pan. That keeps the pan clean on the inside and the bottom. And also, when I push down on the handle, I'm pushing into the pan. So this makes everything last longer. So right whenever I push down here, where the load is being carried by the bend and not the rivets. If this was, I mean, we got it right here, we can do it. If this was outside here and I put the rivets in, then all the load is being borne by the strength of the rivet, right? If I push the handle down, the only thing I'm trying to do is pull my rivets out. But if we push this over the top, you could almost use it without the rivets. And the fact that you can almost use it without the rivets, that tells you that you're putting it together correctly. So let's get back to this. Let's put a clamp on there. Always put yourself in the safest place you possibly can. So you'll notice that I'm drilling a hole. This hem goes over and comes back for 1/2 inch. So I want to get this rivet somewhere in the middle of that hem. And this way I get all 3 pieces. So I got both parts, double thickness of the hem, and I got the back. Oh, this is looking good. I can't wait to happen upon a mess, because we got the cure. That's how my dad drilled. He always stuck his tongue out. So that's how I do it whenever I remember to do it that right. Stick my tongue out. All right. Oh, we are getting so close on this. This is exciting. All right, so on the back, we're doing so good. Let's go ahead and measure this. 11, half of that, 5 1/2, 3/4 off to each side. Now I know that's where the middle of my handle is going to be. Give yourself every chance that you can to be successful, because we live by the tape measure, but it also, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm pushing down on the table, and I'm manipulating the handle to line up right where I want it. Can you see my marks? So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make a hole and start it in the handle. Now that I've got a hole started in the handle, I'm going to put it right where I want it. I want to be just off of that bend. See this right here? That's bad. I want to be just off of that radius. sweet dustpan. Hun, really, is it me or is this thing sweet?
That's pretty sweet.
All right. Ah, too bad Mother's Day is already passed. All right, let's drill that second hole. All right, look at that. So the handle comes over the top. That way the load is being borne by the bend and not just the screws, the rivets. Oh, look what I did right here. See what I did right here? Can you see that? Can you see it?
Yep.
All right. That's not going to work. I mean, if you're going to get this thing for Mother's Day, it's got to be perfect. Let's drill out these rivets.
I'm not editing this out either.
Don't take it out, huh?
I'm not.
I'm letting everybody know what a thoughtful, giving husband of 21 and a half years. Look it.
Oh, from the end?
Ah, boy. I got so busy being busy and thinking about Mother's Day.
For next year?
Yeah. Next year. Well, you know what? Christmas is coming up in a few months. Look, if you're going to make a mistake, make the kind of mistake that can be fixed in less than 45 seconds. Look at that. There we go. We are warts and all here at Sheet Metal is Fun. Warts and all, baby. Okay, so let's look at this. Now we got this awesome dustpan. We can grab it this way, or if you got big hands, you can grab this way. But I wanted to show you one more thing, that on this one, we fold the hem down so that whenever you're unloading the dustpan, everything slides out really well. But what if you were sweeping up marbles, that pearl necklace that's always breaking, or ball bearings? What you could do, I want you to see what we've done here. We folded a hem, and then we folded this and left ourselves a little bit of a ramp. Can you see this? So I'm just showing you an alternate front. So if you did decide to bend your dustpan like this, instead of down, you could have bent it this way. And when you're cleaning up your marbles and you keep losing your marbles, or your pearls or ball bearings, you could use your dustpan to sweep your marbles in, and then they don't fall out. So this is just an alternate to what you can do on the front of your dustpan. That's the marble, pearl, and ball bearing option. I think that's it. I think we've... Can you think of anything I'm forgetting, hon? Sheet metal is fun. So if you've watched our channel and we've inspired you to make something, maybe you made a triangle table, a funnel, a squared around, a wastebasket, a heart-shaped box, a bookshelf, a tool tray, and added a drawer on the bottom of your tool tray, or you made an organizer bin. or if we inspired you to make anything at all, send us a picture. We'd love to put you in our book of Fabulous Fabricators. We have folks here from all over the world.
Are you going to challenge them with the dustpan, making them very creative with?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what you could do? So, you see the dustpan that I've made. This is pretty generic. It's very approachable. You could walk up to this dustpan and it's not going to intimidate you. But what if you wanted to make a dustpan that was higher or wider or the same at the back, but you like a dustpan that tapers out? You could do that. You could do, well, show me your imagination. You've seen something that I made. I wanted to make the handle out of sheet metal because I want to make everything out of what we had right here in the shop. But who knows, maybe you have some kind of handle idea that just smokes this one and looks way better. But I want to encourage you to use your creativity. This is, can you see the word alternate right here? I wanted to make our dustpan very approachable, very easy to picture when it was flat. But you could also do the side like this. You could make your side come up and back this way, and you would have more room if you had like a sawdust, and you could have more room for more bulk in here if you raise the entry up. And so all that is instead of coming down to a point, I came down to a certain point and then dove down to the corner. I think that's going to do it. I want you guys, show me your work. Show me what you can do to improve this simple, unassuming, useful dustpan. Show me what you can do to make this thing awesome, maybe amazing. I don't know. So if you do, make something better, or if you make one just like this, send us a picture. sheetmetalisfun@yahoo.com, and maybe you can end up in our book of Fabulous Fabricators. Just think. Then whenever your second grade teacher said you would never amount to anything, this could be you. And you can take this back to your second grade teacher, pull us up on the internet and go, look at there, second grade teacher. I am somebody. I'm a fabulous fabricator. All right, all you fabulous fabricators, thanks for coming by. It's been hot. We've had triple digits for, I think, what, on the last 2 weeks? It's been unbelievable. And fires. So we're shooting this episode kind of late at night. We got the cooler on and starting to feel pretty good. So there you go. A nice, functional, easy to design, fabricate. You can make this out of the tools. This is the folder that we made in one of the last episodes. What was it called? Benders and folders? Something like that.
Folding and forming.
Folding and forming. Or if you watch the lesson on how to make a tool tray with almost no tools at all, with those same amount of tools, you can make this dustpan. Make one, show us a picture of what you came up with, and we will gladly put you in the Fabulous Fabricators. We are so glad you dialed in. Thanks for spending your time with us this afternoon. We appreciate you guys. Sheet metal is fun. We'll see you on the next one. See you later.